enough.
Did you get a good one?
Loads of good ones.
We got equal playing field in 1991. They passed a law that said wildlife and wetlands and fish have just as much importance as ag. And so in the priorities of where that water goes, we all ended up getting water contracts for water allotments that supply water to not only private but all the state and federal refuges in this vicinity in the Sacramento Valley. Originally, this area, especially the Los Banos vicinity, we have a map up on the wall of the wildlife area you're on right now. You can see all the sloughs and lakes and things. This was all braided slough channels, river overflow channels, and when the river would flood during the spring and period, you know, once the snow melted, all this portion of the valley would flood on good years, and some years it wouldn't flood. So it was a very dynamic wetland type area. Because we were down to, we've lost 90% of our wetlands, all the state wildlife areas, all the federal refuges are managed for wetland purposes. We're essentially, these glorified farms is what we are. I mean, you look at our equipment and everything we do, we have the same ditch systems, we have water control structures that run water through canals and regulate it into different contour units and whatnot, and we manage all these properties for different water regimes and whatnot to create all these wetlands. So it's completely artificial. We're just trying to optimize the amount of acres we have and produce as much food as we can for the number of waterfowl that we have at any given time. And other wetland dependent species, we get thousands of shorebirds and pelicans and everything. So yeah, no, it definitely has a value. We'd certainly, and Canon will tell you the same thing. As a neighbor, we'd rather see either another wetland or ag next to us than a row of houses. Yeah. I really can't talk about the high-speed rail all that much because it is a state project, so I have to be careful. But what we are worried about, I'll tell you that all the people that worry about the GEA are worried about its growth-inducing impacts.
In the sport, it used to be pretty much a rich man's sport. People just hunted for subsistence, But and that's why in the early 50s, that's when the actual public hunting portion of these actually took off. That's when those programs started. Before 1953, 54, these areas were just refuges. They weren't open to the public. Provide 75% of the grant, and you come up with 25%. So 75% of our money comes directly from taxes and arms and ammunition, and the 25% match comes from hunting license fees. So it's a self-sustaining.
Wow.
Pretty interesting. Yeah, counterintuitive. You're like, what? It works.
Yeah. People can I'll just make a quick, I'll say something real quick here just to start, and then you guys can maybe just give just like a brief background of what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we can all just kind of just have a real informal, once we all get dinner and sit down, we can just have an informal discussion.
That works.
But I'll start. I'm Canon Michael. I'm farming here in Los Banos, this area here. My family's been in agriculture since the 1850s. My great-great-great-grandfather came over from Germany and ended up farming in this area and some other areas around the state. So I'm the 6th generation of my family to work in agriculture here. I've got my 3 sons here that you've seen, and my wife will be here in a little bit. But anyway, it's a great way of life here, and just like being a part of this community. And things come along like this high-speed rail, and it's something that obviously is a big concern because it's a huge disruption, and I think you'll hear that from some of the other folks. But anyway, so that's my story, and then I'll pass it on. Maybe Mike, you want to roll with it?
Yeah, I'm Mike, and Germinal, and the train's going to be going right through my family farm. 4th generation we've been farming that property there, and well, how the state's going to afford it.
Okay, we'd be next. We're a set.
You admit it?
Everybody here kind of knows that. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I'm 3rd generation dairyman. My dad bought the original place in 1959. He was second generation. His father came over from the Azores in the early 1900s. But what it does to me in my 340 acres, it puts 187 acres on one side. It takes out one dairy facility and has the potential to put us completely out of business. I'm 55 years old. It's the only thing I've ever done for a living with the dairy, and it's got potential to put us completely out of business. Splits us in half. It will make our feed costs, what I now drive a half a mile to get to a field to bring feed into my facility. It will now be over a 3-mile drive one way because of the route we'll have to take at 40 cents per ton per mile. You can do the math. We take over 5,000 tons of feed off that piece of property every year. That's just one thing.
But what would the government offer you?
Well, they haven't asked, and I've asked the question, what are you going to do for the dairy you take out? They said, we'll make it fair to you. I said, how are you going to make it fair to me? The very first meeting, they said, we will rebuild you a facility. I said, you haven't got a clue what you just said, guys. It's $100,000 and a minimum of 12 months for the sequel process alone to relocate somebody. And I said, you don't, well, they said, then what we'll do is we'll make it right to you. We'll buy it from you. Well, here's the thing.
Buy the whole...
Buy the whole thing. Well, that's fine. Okay, so if you buy it at what it's appraised for, then how do you justify my monthly income off that facility? I'm only 55. You're going to give me lump sum of money. I asked a simple question. When you give me that money, is it going to be tax-free, or do I have to invest it in something I know nothing at all about to beat taxes? They won't answer me. So you know whatever they give you is going to be taxed, and you're going to be hitting the 50 to 60% range unless you do an exchange or go buy something of greater value. But the facility that we rent out, $3,000 a month, what are you going to do for that loss of income? They have no answer.
Because it goes right through that house.
It takes one facility completely off. You're going to have something that from the day it starts will have to be subsidized. There's not a BART system or a rail system in California that's not subsidized right now today. So why do they think a high-speed rail going from San Francisco to LA, which you can make that trip, believe it or not, in 6.5 hours tops on a bad day?
Or 34 days.
In a car, not walking.
In a car, okay? But I mean, why would they think they don't get enough people to ride BART 5 days a week to go to work, and they have to subsidize BART? Why do you think, using their own figures, their own figures from the high-speed rail, 7,500 people a day, 365 days out of the year are going to ride this train from San Francisco to LA. Using their figures, it does not cover its costs. So why would you build it?
Okay, that's your share.
Anyway, so there's reason not to build it over and above the fact that what it does to us.
Pencil in his hand, he'd go a motor.
And it landlocks us, takes corrals out, it does all of the above, and they have no answers for you.
Born and raised in Las Banos with an agricultural background. I'm here with my wife Dana and my 2 daughters, Morgan and Mackenzie. They're both high school age. So I got a good ag background, been in it all my life. Currently I represent Canon and Dennis and other landowners in the area where there are water resource issues. So I manage 45,000 acres of all their water rights. And their value in their land is really based upon the water. They have some of the best water rights in the state. And this, as it runs down Henry Miller Road, it blows right through the middle of all of our infrastructure. So that's one big issue that we've been tracking. They've been out here quite a few times wanting to get on the land, do a lot of survey work, etc., etc. So we've been managing through that. But I think more perspective is just as a taxpayer, I just think it's a losing proposition. When you can go round and round about the capital cost of the train and what that's going to cost, those numbers will go all over the place. But every time you talk to them, every time they put out new information, the ridership numbers are always different. And every time you see them, they're inflated. And they've got to try to make the ridership numbers work and make it pay for itself, and it doesn't. Various other ways, if you actually came out in the land and talked to the people first, did a lot more homework before you put a lot on paper instead of doing it the way you did it.
Yeah, my name is Reggie Hill. I manage a flood control district in this area, and I represent a lot of the landowners that are here in our big, and I'm from Lemoore.
Okay.
So I know where Hanford is in Kings County. Anyway, but the concern we have as a district is it's a flood control project that was built in order to protect the local landowners. And it was built by the state of California. It's owned by the state. So therefore we're trying to follow in line with this whole project. But the impact is the revenue that the district receives is only from the assessments on the existing landowners within our boundaries. So therefore, if you start taking land out of production, we can't tax it. So therefore we get no revenue. Our revenue is reduced. And we're already at a break point where we're having to deal with other federal programs, where where our revenue base is being reduced.
You know, when I heard it, certainly there were some. I think it was Pat Palazzo called me last night and said, "Hey, there's a couple Portuguese guys that are coming around. They just want to need some shoes, so come out and have some dinner." And I thought that was wonderful.
Try to get a connection again with urban folks in agriculture, and especially production ag. You know, because now you probably hear like organic, and you know, I assume most urban folks are tuned into the organic movement. But the only thing I would ever leave you with is that there can't be an organic movement without the fact that like you can have a local guy who's organic and go to the farmer's market, and that's great. I support it. I think it's great. But if he doesn't show up, they don't have whatever reason, you still know that you've got Safeway, you've got 24 hours a day, you've got somewhere you can go to get get safe food, plentiful food, and get stuff that's good food. California products are a few years back. We are under this regulatory burden. We pay the highest minimum wage in the country. Our family has a defined benefit pension plan for our workers. They are guaranteed a sum of money when they retire. When they pass the bond, they don't have them like that. I can see it happen. Most farms don't have them, so we invest in our workers. But you don't hear that kind of side of the story, you know. I read a story the other day that there's people in San Francisco who would rather eat vegetables grown on somebody's rooftop and take it to a local restaurant than they would eat from us, which is grown in a regulated environment where you know what we have to. If I put a chemical on anything, I have to fill out a report with an ag counselor. You don't know what some home gardener is going to do. You don't know what conditions they're growing it in. You don't know any of that. It's that perception is just what bothers me. I don't care that it's organic. I think that's great. It's not feeding the world right now, and it's not coming anywhere close to it. But you know, maybe it will down the road. But it's only doing it on our backs because we're the ones who carry the heavy load, and we're the ones who are going to take it all the time. So there's a disconnect, you know, between us and it's frustrating because everybody wants to hammer us, and you know, like we never spray. Like the last thing I ever want to do is use any herbicide or insecticide because it costs me money.
Yeah.
I don't want to spray. I have every incentive not to spray. And we pay guys. I pay a consultant, one consultant, $50,000 a year to go out every day and check the level of bugs in each field.
Right.
We only will spray when the level gets to where he says it's going to be economic harm to the crop.
Right.
So he lets the beneficial insects and the other insects battle it out. And if it gets to a point where he thinks like, you know, we've got to do something, that's when he says, well, we got to spray.
Right.
I'm not going to do something that's going to hurt them. Now, the other thing is the sustainable movement. I mean, my family's been farming since the 1850s. I mean, how are we not sustainable? I don't go around bashing organic because I think it's great to give people choice. That's what the world's about. If I can make money growing organic, I guarantee you I'll switch to organic. But I can't. We looked at the economics. It's not there right now. If we're going to go to San Francisco,
right.
It's not there.
Is that because of the scale, or
and if you look at what's happened to a lot of these organic dairies, they've stopped selling organic milk, especially in the economic downturn. Because average people aren't going to go spend an extra like $1, $2 a gallon just to get a piece of organic milk. Bottom line is we've got a lot of people that have to eat and then don't have the luxury of living in San Francisco and driving their hybrid to the farmer's market. And no, I mean I'm sorry, but a lot of the talk that you hear is generated from that group, and they haven't been hungry lately.
1, 2, 3. Good one. Not so good.
It was good. It was good.